Believe it or not, the pharmaceutical industry has a few skeletons in their closet. I know, you're surprised, right? As one of America's largest industries, it should come as no surprise that the pharmaceutical companies can sometimes do some shady things in the name of making more money. Here are 10 things you didn't know about the pharmaceutical industry. Stay tuned to number 1 to find out how marketing tactics they use subliminally convince you to use their medications. Number 10. Unregulated Industry. Taking a pill, using a cream, or drinking an elixir has been commonplace for centuries. But the pharmaceuticals, as an industry, really only came around about 200 years ago. In 1818, a chemist named Robert Shoemaker started developing pills and elixirs to help people with common medical issues, such as headaches and body pains. His products caught on quickly and soon led to many more people developing cures for what ails you. The only problem? All of this activity went unchecked until the government developed the Federal Drug Administration, or FDA, in 1902. So for about 80 years, anyone who thought their blend of whiskey and rat poison, or whatever the cure for chest pains was, could sell the stuff and get away with it. No questions asked. Not even to determine if it was at least good whiskey you were using. If the FDA regulations don't seem tough enough today, just imagine living in the pre-FDA days. Number 9. Not so clinical trials. While many companies publish the results of their clinical trials, some decide not to. I wonder why. An example of this came a few years back when GlaxoSmithKline was forced to publish the results of their clinical trials after their drug Paxil, an SSRI for depression and anxiety, was found to actually raise the likelihood of suicide in teens and young adults. A pill for depression of all things. After a lengthy court battle, GSK was forced to release the information that they knew the pill wasn't nearly as effective as they had led the public to believe. This may sound like a victory for the people, but sadly, it's just one lawsuit, covering one situation. As far as we know, many other companies, even GSK themselves, could have other unreleased clinical trials that we know nothing about, and chances are we never will. Number 8. Different name, same pill. Sometimes product naming can be tough, especially if you're a company that's full of scientists with little interest in fancy naming conventions. Just call it cash grab and let's move on already. Take Prozac, for example. Developed as a pill for depression, the name sounds very professional and scientific. Unfortunately, the company noticed a significant lack of female customers. So they created Seraphim, a pink-coated version of the exact same pill. Now, it's not impossible for customers to discover this clever trick, but sadly, this is a commonplace practice in the pharmaceutical industry. Prozac sounds scientific and manly, while Seraphim sounds like the perfect pill for women. And somehow, this is okay. So the next time you see 2 medication ads that seem to be for the exact same type of pill, well, they very well may be. Number 7. Political lobbying. We've officially reached the financial section of our list now, and naturally, we'll start with lobbying. Lobbying, in the most basic sense, is when companies send representatives to go hang out in the Capitol in Washington, D.C. and tell the lawmakers why they should pass or repeal certain laws. Usually, the reasoning includes large bags of cash personally delivered to the hands of the lawmakers. While many industries perform lobbying, the pharmaceutical industry takes it to the extreme. Big pharma companies spend about $232 million in 2012 in political lobbying alone. That's far more than any other industry in the nation. With this money, they can get exclusive meetings with top lawmakers and make suggestions on how to vote on upcoming laws or even pitch a few ideas of their own. And at $232 million per year, maybe this is why pills cost so much. Which brings me to Number 6. No limits. Ever wondered why your prescriptions cost so much more money now than it did a few years ago? Maybe the chemicals in it are more expensive, or maybe processing costs have risen. Nope. Sometimes they just want more cash. While the FDA regulates many areas of the pharmaceutical industry, it does not touch pricing at all. This also explains why, if you ever talk to a friend who uses the exact same meds as you, you'll quickly discover that one of you is paying way more than the other. Pricing issues can sometimes be the difference of double or triple the cost for seemingly no good reason at all. But sometimes the discrepancy is absurd. Take Daraprim, for example. When this infection-fighting medication came to market, it was clearly valuable, and when it was purchased by Turing Pharmaceuticals, they took advantage and bumped the price up, just by a bit, 5,000%. Yes, that's right, you heard me, 5,000%. Why would a company need an extra 5,000% payout on every prescription, you ask? Maybe it just has something to do with all of that lobbying. Number 5. Profit margin. As it turns out, pharmaceutical companies make a ton of cash. Who knew, right? While most industries make enough money to keep the lights on, pharmaceutical companies had profit margins of 19% in 2013. Even tech companies don't make that kind of return on investment. The surprising part of this profit margin is the fact that Big Pharma spends a ton of money too. In an industry that costs so much to research, produce, promote, and lobby their medications, still, somehow, they have a profit margin of 19%. How can that be? I guess the ability to manipulate lawmakers helps. Number 4. Sales reps galore. The last of our financial section, a big part of the money-making machine that is Big Pharma is the sales reps. Sales representatives are sent to doctors' offices around the nation to sell doctors on the idea of choosing their company's medications the next time they need to prescribe to their patients. This can seem like harmless salesmanship, but when the sales reps offer all kinds of incentives like paying for a free lunch or offering a plethora of free samples, doctors are more likely to write that prescription. Worst of all, the sales reps are also well trained to push pills when they aren't even really needed. If a heart disease medication has also been proven to help with headaches, reps are known to use that as another selling point. In an ideal situation, the doctor would prescribe the rep's medication for every patient. Number 3. Misleading study results. When any company performs a study, they collect a lot of data. I mean a ton. For clinical trials, usually hundreds, if not thousands of people are provided the pill and closely studied to see how the pills affect them. Naturally, some of the data comes out of the study will be less than desirable, let's say. What's a company to do when the most common outcome of using a heart pill is migraines? When promoting a medication that has some bad clinical trial results, companies go out of their way to talk up the details of those who had good results. They tell you all about the hundreds of patients who felt much better after taking the pill, but will skip over the hundreds of instances where new health issues appeared. In addition, the medication may further agitate the condition it was supposed to help. Obviously, you don't want to bring that up to the shareholders or potential customers. Number 2. Biased recommendations. Every customer feels better when they buy a product that has been endorsed by an impartial organization. The only problem with pharmaceuticals is that some of these impartial groups have been paid very nicely by the medication companies. Now, these organizations can't outright take a bribe, but when a big pharmaceutical company unloads truckloads of money at your doorstep, maybe you review their pill and find it to be a little bit better than everyone else's on the market. The organization gets their cash, and the pharmaceutical company gets a fancy logo to put on their label. Everybody wins, right? Well, unfortunately, not us. Number 1. Ridiculous ads. Hopefully, no one really believes that once they take their expensive heart pill, they'll suddenly be able to take up hiking and kayaking, right? But subconsciously, things are different. Market research has shown that when you see ads with happy people living happy lives, you are more likely to associate happiness with that product. Obviously, this is great news for the pharmaceutical companies, and they take advantage of it constantly. In addition, our minds are much more visual than they are audible. That's why you see people cured of their pain and enjoying life, while you hear the list of terrible side effects that are associated with taking the pill. While your mind is distracted by the pleasing visuals, you only slightly grasp the weight of all those pesky side effects. That, and it would be thoroughly disgusting to see all those side effects on the screen. Tell us what you think about the pharmaceutical industry in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to keep up with other interesting videos, and we'll see you next time.